At the beginning of the film, a North Korean officer named Ruhwan receives a briefing from a scarred colonel. The colonel stresses the critical nature of the mission, emphasizing that the mission itself holds more value than even one's life. Essentially, he is sending the officer to his death, saying that if they were ever to cross paths again, it would likely be as enemies, with only one of them surviving. 2 years later, in South Korea, Ruhwan lives a harsh life, following the officer's orders to blend into South Korean society by pretending to be a local fool. He endures constant ridicule from neighborhood children who throw stones at him and treat him like dirt. A clever and frugal woman takes him in, caring for him like a son, and everyone in the neighborhood knows him as Dong-woo. Despite his skills in combat, languages, and weapons, Ruhwan is forced to act like a fool, though he carries out his mission with utmost diligence. Each morning, he irritates his nose to fake a runny nose.
Not mark completed.
Tumbles down the stairs clumsily and works at the woman's small shop. The kids regularly steal soy sausages from him, believing he doesn't notice, but Dong-woo remembers everything and keeps track of their thefts. A local prostitute often visits the shop, distracting him with her charm, causing him to lose his composure when she appears in a revealing cleavage.
Calm down. That dressing like that could get her killed in the Republic.
Dong-woo earns a modest salary, which he keeps in a tin can that once held Chupa Chups lollipops. He's thrilled to have saved $140, dreaming of returning to North Korea as a rich and buying an apartment. Dong-woo is known in the neighborhood as a harmless simpleton, but he has carefully studied the habits and quirks of the locals. He's particularly fond of a young woman named Jaron, who is kind to him and even seems to care for him. Jaron, a 22-year-old accounting clerk, gets PR here every day, but her younger brother, a high school student, mocks Dong-woo, trying to make sure this fool doesn't set his sights on his sister. There's one character in the neighborhood who knows Dong-woo's true identity, Sang-woo, the delivery man. In truth, he's also a North Korean agent, but he's been in enemy territory so long that he's started to question his purpose and whether his work still matters. However, Dong-woo reminds Sang-woo of his duty to his homeland, urging him not to entertain thoughts of betraying his country. In the evening, to reinforce his fool persona, Dong-woo embarks on a mission of public humiliation. He starts defecating in front of passers-by right in the middle of the neighborhood like a dog. However, he never expects that Jaron, the girl he admires, will be among the onlookers. This deeply discourages him. The next day, Jaron, who had always been kind to him, deliberately avoids him.
You dirty pervert! Pooping on the street! I warned you to avoid peeking at my sister. You got it?
Joe Dusik, the son of the woman who took Dong-woo in, approaches him and treats him like an adopted brother. Dusik decides to teach Dong-woo how to defend himself so that no one bullies him. In his dreams, Dong-woo imagines throwing a perfect jab and sending Dusik flying with an uppercut. However, in reality, he continues pretending to be a fool. Then, the delivery man hands Dong-woo an envelope containing a photo of his mother, whom he hasn't seen in 11 years. She is the only connection he has to North Korea, a symbol of his roots and a reminder not to forget where he came from. Dong-woo regularly writes letters to his mother, hoping that one day he will be able to deliver them to her. One day, while Dong-woo and his so-called foster brother are delivering groceries to a customer, Dong-woo notices signs that suggest an intruder. Suspecting something is off, he deduces that a spy has settled in the area and feels the need to figure out whether this spy is an enemy or an ally. During their evening workout routine, the spy who resembles a K-pop star with bleached hair approaches Dong-woo. They engage in a fight that feels more like friendly sparring. Afterward, they reminisce about their time as teenagers in the North Korean training camp, where both of them led squads that frequently competed against each other.
You haven't gotten rusty at all.
The arrival of this comrade raises many questions for Dong-woo. Why would they send another intelligence officer to the same area? The orange-haired guy confesses that his mission is to monitor Dong-woo and determine if he's still loyal to his homeland. However, Dong-woo doesn't fully believe the orange-haired spy, so he decides to shadow his comrade the next morning. Dong-woo successfully tails the spy and watches as he tries to audition for a local rock group. However, his North Korean guitar skills are only good enough to make him look like a first grader among the other contestants.
I wasn't expecting that. The guys here in the South can really play.
Dong-woo observes. After the audition, the orange-haired spy admits to Dong-woo that his mission is simply to blend in, pretending to be a rock star. Dong-woo is puzzled, wondering why he's tasked with portraying a fool while his comrade gets to play the part of a rock star. That evening, Dong-woo is awoken by heavy knocking at the door. It's one of the boys who often bullies him. The boy, in tears, asks Dong-woo to help find his missing brother, as the entire neighborhood is already searching for him. Using his skills, Dong-woo quickly picks up on the trail. Just like Connor from Detroit, become human, he leaps across rooftops, finally hearing the child's voice. He grabs some clothes from a clothesline to disguise himself. Eventually, Dong-woo finds the boy at a barber's house. It turns out the boy had gone there for cookies, which the barber always gives him. But in reality, the barber is interested in the boy's mother and is using the boy to build a relationship with her. When other residents arrive at the scene and see Dong-woo in his unusual attire, they mistake him for a pervert who kidnapped the child.
Damn, what did I pick up?
Fortunately, he's able to make a quick escape due to his impeccable physical condition. Mr. Park saved them from the pervert.
You've scared us. Thank you, sir.
Where have you been?
The next day, South Korean intelligence interrogates the North Korean spy. He reveals that 16 years ago, a special unit called Squad 5446 was formed, made up of the best soldiers who could fight to the end. They were selected from tens of thousands of North Korean soldiers to infiltrate South Korea. These sleeper agents were trained to execute any order from their homeland at any time. Later, the delivery man finds Dong-woo and informs him that his mission is over. After 16 years in South Korea, he's returning to North Korea. However, he asks Dong-woo for a gun, explaining that his entire family was arrested while trying to escape to China. He plans to kill a few South Korean officers and then take his own life, hoping that by doing so, his family might be spared. Dong-woo tells him to keep his composure and not do anything foolish. Dong-woo hands him a gun, but it turns out to be unloaded. The chubby man, feeling defeated, is dismissed by Dong-woo. He says stay loyal to the Republic until the end. Do your best to survive and return home. That's the only way to reunite with your family, if they're still alive, even if that reunion happens in prison. Meanwhile, an unknown spy kills the North Korean prisoner who had revealed information about Squad 5446 to the South Korean intelligence. In response, South Korean authorities decide to create a special unit to deal with the threat posed by Squad 5446. In the evening, Dong-woo writes another letter to his mother, admitting that he might not make it back to North Korea alive. He adds it to the stack of unsent letters. Suddenly, a stranger points a gun at his head. Dong-woo unfazed, he inquires about the stranger's unit, but the man remains silent. It turns out this is the same shooter who killed the traitor earlier that day. The stranger reveals he came to test Dong-woo's loyalty to North Korea, then vanishes. Dong-woo gives chase, but after a lengthy pursuit across rooftops, the mysterious figure manages to slip away. Later, a local woman of the night notices Dong-woo on the roof and invites him to join her. Dong-woo entertains the tipsy woman on a carousel, and with tears in her eyes, she opens up about her life. At 18, I gave birth to a child my parents put up for adoption in the US. I miss him so much. Dong-woo takes the drunken girl home and then tells the would-be rock star about his encounter with the mysterious stranger. The rock star doesn't seem overly concerned. On his way home, Dong-woo realizes he's being followed by the same stranger again. Using his wits, Dong-woo manages to outsmart his pursuer and catch him off guard. It turns out that the stranger is a former subordinate of Dong-woo's, someone who joined the squad as a child and admired him as a commander. His name is Haejin. However, attempts to talk to him fail, and the young man escapes once more. These unexpected encounters trouble Dong-woo because, for the first time in years, he's run into two other North Korean intelligence officers. The next morning, Dong-woo runs into Haejin once again. This time, the young man is undercover in South Korea, posing as a high school student. His mission is to develop a relationship with Yeon's brother, the one who always bullies Dong-woo, to prevent him from getting too close to his sister. In the evening, while ambushing the schoolboy, Dong-woo tries to get information on his goals in South Korea. Haejin reveals that he's there to replace Sang-woo, the chubby guy disguised as a delivery man. Together, they witness Yeon's employer making overt advances toward her, with no attempt to hide his intentions.
Go, help her. She shouldn't see me. Why should I help that South girl? Are you worried about her? No, it's not about her. She's Eugen's sister. You need to win his family's trust to gain his loyalty.
They kidnap the man and dress him in the same clothes Dong-woo wore when he was mistaken for a pervert while searching for the missing boy. They blackmail him, threatening to expose photos of him online if he continues to harass Yeon. The next morning, The three secret agents spend a light-hearted time on the roof of the store where Dong-woo works. Suddenly, they notice a conflict between the woman who took him in and some local thugs. The thugs threaten her, saying that if she buys from other suppliers, her store will face major problems. Dong-woo can't stand idly by and intervenes, continuing to maintain his foolish image. He redirects the aggression toward himself, and when the thug shoves the woman, Dong-woo manages to cushion her fall. He's ready to fight back, but the woman stops him.
Don't. Stay out of trouble. Don't swing your fist.
These words make Dong-woo uneasy. He begins to realize that she might know he's not really as foolish as he appears. That evening, her son returns from work and plans to confront the thugs. He's a police intern, determined to take action. Dong-woo finds the schoolboy at the gas station where he works and asks for help to free his so-called stepbrother. The thugs grabbed him when he tried to stand up to them. The schoolboy easily deals with the thugs. Afterward, Dong-woo approaches his stepbrother, still in his fool's guise, and the brother tells him, "You need to be strong to take care of your family."
Don't worry, I'll take care of mine until the end. You can count on me.
The next day, during a barbecue with neighbors and close friends, Dong-woo realizes that he's starting to change in this environment. He's afraid that he might become too attached to the people around him. Meanwhile, in North Korea, the scar-faced colonel visits the minister. The minister explains that they intend to improve relations with South Korea, but the presence of spies from Squad could complicate things. As a result, the minister orders the colonel to bring all the spies back home, disband the squad, and declare them traitors. They will be executed, and all documentation about them should be destroyed. The colonel asks the minister to allow the spies to die as heroes, not traitors, promising to give the order for them to self-destruct in South Korea.
Are you sure about that?
If any of them resist, I'll kill them myself.
Dong-woo is living a carefree life in South Korea, but that all changes when he gets a message on his pager with orders to self-destruct. Shortly after, a series of shocking incidents unfold in South Korea, with people committing unimaginable acts. The schoolboy approaches Dong-woo, clearly confused. The boy reveals that his mission is to execute Dong-woo because he's still alive, implying that he didn't follow the orders.
Don't be stupid, take the gun away. What did I tell you, Ran? We are just like those Andes, no one will care if we disappear.
Tensions rise between the three spies, and Dong-woo, though ready to follow through with the order, wants to make sure his mother will be taken care of by the Republic before he acts. He seeks advice from his instructor. Meanwhile, South Korean intelligence is shaken by the growing number of bodies found overnight. The head of the special unit isn't surprised. The leadership tells him not to interfere and let the enemy spies complete their mission, but he can't accept that and is determined to save the remaining spies. Eventually, the head of South Korean Special Forces tracks down Dong-woo and urges him to disobey the order. During their conversation, Dong-woo learns that the officer is also a former member of Squad 546 who defected to South Korea. He doesn't want the young spies to die blindly for the country's ideals. However, the schoolboy attacks the officer and goes after him. The South Korean Special Forces manage to capture the boy. Dong-woo then goes to a barber, getting his hair cut and changing his appearance. He visits everyone who has become important to him, saying his farewells. He gives the woman who took him in all his savings and a note with her child's adoption address in the United States.
Her it should be enough for a ticket to reunite with your son.
He also knocks out the special unit officer and uses his microphone to contact the chief of South Korean intelligence. The chief tells Dong-woo that the colonel has arrived in South Korea to finish off the remaining spies.
Implanting GPS devices in your bodies.
Dong-woo suggests to the rock star that they go to a deserted place to avoid putting innocent people in danger. During their discussions, the schoolboy asks the head of the special unit to take him along. He wants to help save Dong-woo from the assassins, even promising to renounce his homeland. Meanwhile, the battered colonel tracks Dong-woo down in an abandoned building. The colonel tells Dong-woo to follow the order, but Dong-woo insists on knowing if the Republic will take care of his mother. The colonel refuses to answer and repeats the order.
The command from the nation is unconditional,
causing a fight to break out, which includes a shootout. During the chaos, Dong-woo falls out of the window. At that moment, the two boys who used to bully Dong-woo appear, asking,
"What happened?
Go away.
Why are you going to poop again? You shouldn't."
Just then, the rock star arrives in a Korean car and picks up Dong-woo and the boys. They drop the kids off near their home before heading to an agreed location, an abandoned building. Dongwoo had previously contacted a courier to bring weapons from his house, and in the building, the courier hands them a bag, but it's filled with bricks. They realize the fat courier isn't on their side, and he admits that his true mission was to watch the spies to ensure they wouldn't betray the Republic. The courier reveals his identity. He's Professor Kim Susan-hook, a political philosopher at a university, and he has his own henchmen. A fight breaks out, and during the brawl, Dongwoo learns that when a spy is sent on a mission, their relatives are immediately imprisoned. Since Dongwoo didn't follow the order to self-destruct, his mother was executed. At that moment, the scarred colonel and his assistant arrive on the scene, followed closely by the South Korean Special Forces. The schoolboy, who had been taken with them, escapes from the car and takes out several North Korean snipers in order to save his captain. With all the snipers eliminated, he urges them,
Go save the captain, quickly!
The rock star and Dongwoo climb onto the roof, attempting to flee from the beaten-up colonel. However, the colonel and his men catch up with them. A fierce fight breaks out on the roof, with the rock star taking on the colonel's men while Dongwoo faces off with the scar-faced colonel. The colonel proves to be a superior fighter, and just as he's about to finish off Dongwoo, the South Korean Special Forces arrive on the roof. The schoolboy, disguised as a Special Forces operative, shoots the colonel, but the colonel pulls out a grenade, intending to take himself and the remaining spies down with him. In a selfless move, the rock star sacrifices himself. He grabs the colonel, and together, they fall off the roof of the building. The schoolboy rushes to his commander, trying to protect him. He refuses to surrender, overcome with grief from the loss of his mother.
Wake up! Get to your senses!
But in his panic, the schoolboy shoots the head of the special unit, and a shootout ensues. Dongwoo pulls his protege into an embrace as a barrage of bullets pierces their bodies. They fall from the roof, lifeless. As they tumble, we hear the conversation they had earlier, where they talked about who they would want to be in their next life.
I want to be an ordinary man, living in a peaceful country.
I wish, leading a quiet life next door to your family.
Then, I'd be the voluptuous girl next door, both of yours.